Okay, these are a selection of the rigs I'm going to use when I next go fishing. They are all fitted to swivels. The looped end of the hook length that I'm using, hook line that is looped through one of the rings on the swivel, and then the hook and when it catches up, the hook and the band, that little brain elastic band, those are pulled back through the hoop afterwards. So it's kind of just a pull through knot, it's nothing special. I forget what type of knot it is, it's just basically looped through. They don't come off. The loop in the end of the hair rig would have to slide all the way down the hook length, and it would have to slide all the way over everything on the end of the hook, so there's not much chance, there's very little chance anything is going to go amiss from the main line. So the hook lengths are on one end of these swivels, and on the other end of the swivels I will be fitting a quick release link. I'll show you the quick release link quickly. It's just over here. That's a quick release link. It's a snap link. You stick your fingernail down in one side and it basically, you can't see it very clearly on this video, but there's a tiny little, is it going to just zoom? No, I don't know. Anyway, the hook basically falls down through and you can lift it out on one of the edges of this. It's almost like a safety pin basically. It's like a safety pin, and you put your main line through this end here. So the main line going to your reel will go into that end, tie a knot on that, and then all this swivels, all this turns as free as you want. I can partly demonstrate it, but it'll spin around and just spin around and round and round, as will this here. So they're all going to be on that setup once they're fitted to the the quick release clip. And the first rig, top of the window ledge, is a pop-up boilie, and you can see you've got the hook, you've got a hair rig attached to the hook, not hug, and it's one of these eyed barbless carp bandit hair rig hook lengths, and that's the part which goes all the way from the swivel connection right the way down to where you attach the bait. And they're ready made, size 14 hooks and a 5-pound breaking strain. So I mean, I think I've landed 10-pound fish, a 10-pound fish so far with fairly low breaking strain line. So I'll see if it withholds a larger fish, but if it snaps, it snaps. But by using lighter hook line towards the bait, it means that if anything does snap, then the fish is going to be running around with just this bit in its mouth. It's got a few weights on there, very small weights, but it's not going to be running around with, I mean, for example, if I was going to attach a ledger, I would probably attach a ledger after this swivel link and down on this side where I'd have a main line. I'd have it on the main line somewhere, so ledger should really stay on the thicker, higher poundage main line. You can put ledgers on things called quick release drop-off systems, but at the end of the day, if you get caught up in weed, or if maybe you knock your equipment whilst you're trying to cast, you might have the ledger end up dropping into the water, and that's, I don't know, a couple of pound down the drain each time that happens. So I mean, I may use the quick release links I've got, but I may just clip the ledgers on the main line on that side of them, and maybe just secure ledgers in place with a couple of little bits of shot either side of the loop in the ledger, and the ledger can swing freely on the line then. So the first one's a pop-up, and it's got two, I think it's double B weightage of shot attached to it, and I've tested it in a bucket of water, and when I swing the whole of this down into the water, this rises up. The whole thing will sink down through the water very, very slowly, and that's apparently, I haven't used one before, but apparently that's what you're looking for when you're using a pop-up. It's basically, this will be floating around in the water, and these two will be resting pretty much near the bottom. They rested pretty much near the bottom of the bucket, so they'll be resting pretty much near the bottom of the lake. So that's the first one, trying to catch some carp with a really bright colour, and it's got a really nice smile to it as well. Second one is a halibut, it's a marine halibut pellet. The third is a pineapple or something like that pellet. Haven't had much success with these. I've had more success with the marine halibut pellets, especially at a venue I'm thinking of fishing tomorrow, which is Burley Fields. A lot of bream love that flavour of pellet, and I'm using a larger one this time to try and stop the smaller fish being able to take it, and hopefully a bigger fish will grab it. Third bait down is a boilie. I expect people are pretty familiar with these. If you fish, you probably use a boilie at some point. There's boilie stops in each of the ends of these baits, and then I've got a smaller piece of this type of marine halibut pellet, and I've basically cut it down, and instead of having the elastic band on the ends of these hair rigs passed all the way through it, it's basically just stretched out, and the elastic band goes down over the bait, goes around the bait like that and holds it in place rather than going through the middle of it. So I'm hoping that, I mean, I wouldn't mind catching a smaller fish. If I catch some small fish, it will be bonus. It will be a bonus, and it'll be better than catching nothing at all. And the bottom setup I've got is something called a method feeder. The main line, I will probably use a quick link as I've shown you before and hoop it through here. The main line will be tied to the quick link, and then you've got a method feeder, which is like a cage. It's sort of like there's a weight on the bottom and a cage on the top. It's cage-like. There's a few bars, and you basically get pellets of this material, marine halibut, or you can use ground bait and things like that, and you leave them pellets like that to soak, or you can leave the smaller pellets. I mean, that's not a smaller pellet, for example, but you can get smaller pellets. You can leave those to soak, and then they go really mushy, and then you can just make a paste. See, that's not quite as built up as much as it needs to be, but that's just an example for you. Maybe that area there covering the bars, that's more how presentation should be. And then you've got a really small hook link on the end of that, and probably just about make it out. And then I've got a green-lipped mussel soft jelly pellet, and they are hookable pellets. So instead of having my bait attached to a hair rig, I've got it attached directly to the hook, so I'm going to try that technique when using the method feeder. And to hold the baits that I've got hooked onto hair rigs, onto the elastic bands on the hair rigs, I've got these basically, I just peel these little bits off this orange storage frame, twist them, break them off, and then I thread them through the elastic band at the end and push them down into the ends of the bait. I pre-drill holes if there isn't already a hole there, and I pre-drill a hole. Really small pellets you can't really drill holes on because they do tend to break. But then you've got this bait down here, which you don't need any holes drilled in it at all, because they're called gellets basically. They're called gellets, and they're just jellified pellets. See, the hook's all the way through it. Bit of the point sticking out again, as I've used before. And that should hopefully catch the fish's mouth. I can feel it pricking my finger slightly, so hopefully will work. And then I've got what I was using last time, and this was being used when I took my other video at Alton Carp Lakes. And I've got a cage feeder